that you can't. Just think, how do I do this?
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like, you know, that never exists, that you can't, it's just not possible. Okay, but let's pretend if it was. How would we make this a reality? What could we do? And then just watch the ideas start to flood and start to come out of you or maybe some of the people you surround yourself with. That is what intrigues me. That's what attracts me. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that mentality.
What attracts me is actually, and this kind of, I'm going to flow into another story here, but is that you said, you know, Walt Disney had his original character, Oswaldo the Rabbit, stolen from him. And then, you know, one of my idols, one of my favorite, my mentors, you know, that doesn't even know me, is Stephen King, obviously. I think that guy's brilliant. And you know, he started off, he wanted to be a writer, and at one point he took the original, this manuscript he was working on it every night, kind of doing the same type of thing that I was doing. He was, you know, working and then going and writing when he could and whatever, and he had this manuscript, and he said, it's just garbage. He threw it in the trash. And his wife went up and took the manuscript out of the trash and said, "No, you're going to keep working on this." And it wound up, this is going to be Carrie, the book Carrie. That was his first book. And so, but what I think was fantastic about this story is there came a point, he got Carrie finished, he sent it off to publishers, and nobody was really biting. And it was a couple months, obviously back then, it was all snail mail. And he had taken his son to the doctor. His son was sick, and he found out how much it was going to be for him to get medicine for his son. And he was like, there's no way I can do that. Like, I'm done. I have to give up because there's nothing I can do. You know, I have to go back and get a second job. I have to do all this stuff. And he was ready to be done with writing. And he came home from the doctor with his sick son, trying to figure out how he's going to get his money and all the hard work and effort that he'd put in. Went and got the mail, and inside was an advance check for the book Carrie that was just ample enough to get his son medical attention. And that's what kept him going. And I think that between both Walt Disney and Stephen King, two people that are weird that I just mentioned them in the same sentence, but one thing that I think everybody should take away from that is adversity is going to happen, but you got to overcome it. Like, don't ever give up. Like you said, changing your the way you're going, changing the route, etc. That's one thing, but don't ever just throw in the towel.
Yeah, sometimes the best ideas or the new courses of action are born from adversity. You know, again, taking Oswaldo the Rabbit.
Yeah.
Stolen from, which was mildly successful.
Right.
And I don't remember. I've read the book and heard the story, you know, a million times, but I forget the exact details. But somehow licensing or something like that, it was taken away from him.
Right.
It was his idea, but now it's no longer his.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he was like, I've got nothing now. And so sometimes adversity turns into like something even bigger and better.
Right.
Sometimes the drive of, I don't know Walt Disney's heart. I feel that he was probably a really good-hearted man.
Yeah, he seems it from.
Yeah. I mean, he literally is my favorite historical figure. I love the guy.
And brilliant on top of that.
And just because you look at what he created, an empire that will forever make children happy.
Yeah.
And adults. Like, I look, when it comes down to like Disney movies and things like that, I don't mind taking my daughter to see them.
No, absolutely.
Because they kind of make them for the adults as much as they make them for the children.
Yeah.
You know,
Pixar these days,
oh
man. I went and saw Inside Out with Gus, the one about whatever.
Yeah.
And there was a few times where I was like, man, I'm glad it's dark in this theater because I'm getting misty-eyed. Like, yeah, and that's how Pixar is. I mean, you've seen Up, I assume.
I was just gonna say.
Oh my God! That for opening 10 minutes of Up it's like, oh, just dig the knife in deeper. No, deeper. Now twist it. Oh, okay, perfect.
First 10 minutes too. Not one word was spoken.
Yeah, true.
Talk about like being able just with pictures,
yep.
just with the visual picture, and getting that much emotion out of somebody.
Yeah,
if you can watch the first 10 minutes of Up and not have a tear in your eye, you're cold-hearted.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're a communist.
You should go join ISIS.
Right. Right.
I mean, you could probably do some of the things they do.
Oh my God, yeah.
But that's the brilliance and the music and the way they're able to touch you with the emotions and that's brilliance. That's pure genius.
It is. I agree. Yeah.
All born from Walt Disney.
All born from, like you said, Walt Disney sitting on a train, and after having his dreams basically dashed at that point, until he was like, all right, no, I'm going to keep going. But if somebody came up and just stole something from, some idea from me like that, and I mean, that would be crushing. But you just have to keep moving on.
Yeah, it was. In fact, I remember my point now was, I wonder if he if he had anger in him. I mean, what I mean is I'm sure he was angry, but I mean, like, was he saying, I'm going to create something even bigger, better to destroy the people that destroyed me?
Right.
Or is it more of, like, okay, that no longer exists for me. What do I do now?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's an important mindset to have as well, is sometimes, like, everyone talks about it. You've heard it a million times. Like, don't sweat the small stuff. Don't try to change things you have no control over. Things like
Right.
that. But there's a lot of truth to that. I listen to Joyce Meyer every day. She's a minister. Like,
Yeah.
The reason I like her, she's a Christian, but she's very straight to the point. In other words, she doesn't mess around. She's very, like, tough, I guess you could say.
Right.
And she's that same type of mentality. Like, look, you don't like the way your life's going, get off your butt and change it. She talks pretty much just like that, and then uses biblical references and combines her messages that way, you know. But she's very inspirational.
Yeah.
And I like the way she talks like that. So, like, she was talking, I mean, this lady, for example, I mean, you want to hear adversity, came from nothing. Her father would sexually molest her as a child. I mean, how do you overcome something like that, right? And just alcoholic and abuse and this and that, and then she married someone who's an alcoholic, because a lot of times women are tied that way, where they kind of marry what they know.
Yeah.
You know, so my wife's dad must be an awesome guy.
Right. Right.
But she, I mean, you're talking about adversity, right? And I'm not going to go into her entire story. It would take up the whole show. But, I mean, the bottom line is the man she met, who became her new husband, he was praying to God, I want you to bring someone in my life that needs my help. And then somehow, the exact opposite, she was rude, she was mean, she was like, and he kind of influenced her, helped change her life. She started an in-home ministry because she believed in herself that much. Like, 2 people would come to her house and just listen to her. She did that for 5 years, and then she got so good and attracted so much attention that a church wanted her to come in. And then now, I mean, she's mega huge.
Yeah.
I mean, she is, but she's, very inspirational, and she speaks in a way that just, like, it's not cheesy. Come here.
Right.
and I like that. I like people like that. Like, let's not mess around. Let's get to the point. Let's not be politically correct.
Right.
You know, I'm totally against that.
Yeah.
So she just gets to the point. But again, someone who just came from nothing and came from adversity and came from, you know, being molested by her father. Like, that's, you would think a lot of times that would be enough reason to say, my life stinks. I'm just going to sit in a corner and cry every day.
Yeah.
And not saying that that's wrong. Okay.
No, right.
But what I'm saying is she could have chosen that path.
Yeah.
But she said, okay, this happened. What do I got to do now to live a better life?
Yeah.
And so she talks about, like, I could have lived like that, or I could have, it comes down to choices.
Yeah.
I made different choices. I now have a life of, like, she's got a great life, and she's in her 70s. She looks like she's in her 50s, and she openly
Is she really 70? Because I've seen pictures of her before.
She
Man.
openly admits she's had some plastic surgery.
Oh,
though.
okay.
But not pulled back in a bad way.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
subtle surgeries. You know? So she's not, like, overdoing it, I wouldn't say. But she talks about how now she exercises, and she never exercised before in her life. Like, she's just a type of person that's, even if, like, I'm a Christian, but if you're not a Christian and you just want inspiration, she's good to listen to.
Right.
You know, and then maybe you'll start getting sucked in.
Right.
But she's very inspirational. Just
Right.
her story. She's very motivational.
Huh.
Okay. But yeah, I like this. You know, it's funny. I didn't even know we were going to. I just wrote. You saw me when I came in. I just wrote down one line.
Yeah.
And the first line was, "Don't make dumb decisions."
Right.
And I said, "Okay, we'll talk about that."
And
for
that
a few
wasn't even
minutes.
for the show. That was just for your everyday life.
That was me and my wife. And, but yeah, and then now look at, like, this is turned into this entire, like, that's, again, just things are manifesting constantly if you have the right mindset.
Oh, yeah.
This conversation is manifested because of we are opening doors to better mindset, to better way of thinking, it's a lot of, I think some people might hear these types of talks and go, yeah, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
It's really not all right, whatever. It is that if that's what you believe.
Right.
But if you believe that you can make changes, if you believe you could do anything you want, you can make that decision, make that choice, and start taking action, and watch what happens.
Yeah.
It will slowly, or sometimes very quickly, sometimes so quick you can't control it, things will start to change. There's miracles happening that sometimes we just can't explain it.
Yeah.
And a lot of it just has to do, what are you focused on? your thoughts become your reality. What you put into your mind, you change who you are. You change who you are by changing what goes into your mind.
Right.
Start with that, and just see what starts to happen in your life.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that I love books so much is that there's so many different ideas, some bad, some good, but they're
Sure.
all out there for anybody's consumption. So
Yeah, I love books too. I mean, I love reading. It's a great escape. It's a great
It is, yeah.
way to a book, movies too, but some more of a book because you're working into your own imagination. But I mean, anything, any whole new world could be created with characters that could not or would not exist in this reality because
Right.
of physics or whatever it might be. But it's awesome. It's just good to work your mind like that. Keep your imagination active.
yeah, no, and look at just going kind of on the same plane, but look at some of the people that have these great imaginations, create things that if you were to sit back and tell me like 20 years ago, we're going to have a show about a sponge in underpants
Right.
and a pink starfish who's kind of an idiot and this squid next door, I'd be like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And then look at SpongeBob. I mean,
Right.
that's literally every kid and actually every person in America knows who SpongeBob SquarePants is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's ridiculous to me. I mean, in a good way. Don't get me wrong. In a good way, more power to the creators.
Yeah.
But
and the creators, there you go.
Yeah.
Someone sat on that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Right, exactly.
I mean, how weird can you get?
Yeah.
It's just these people sat on a couch or wherever they were sitting one day and just started bouncing, throwing ideas off of each other, and look how it manifests. Look what it turns into.
yeah, I mean,
Very
look, my
exciting.
favorite movie last summer rather. It's still my favorite superhero movie I think to date was about a giant talking tree, a raccoon,
Yeah.
some guy that basically would have been well versed to listen to our show here because he had no success whatsoever.
Lived
And-
out of a van.
Exactly, yeah. And then and then this green monster, but Guardians of the Galaxy was fantastic, and it was all. I mean, that was just overcoming all these four people getting together, and just kind of strange. So,
Yeah.
But you told me if you would have told me that, I would have been like, it's kind of a dumb idea. So
I remember, and I'll be honest, I'm not wrong very much, but I was wrong
Right.
in this. I remember seeing the previews for that, and the talking raccoon, and the
Yep.
tree, and I remember even telling Melinda, that movie is going to bomb so bad.
Oh, yeah.
You watch. I was way wrong on
yeah,
that one.
and it was heartfelt. I mean,
Yeah.
it had everything that you could again, going back to the first 10 minutes of movies, but watching the first 10 minutes of that movie, I was like, wait a minute, did I go to the wrong theater?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm getting all misty because there's this kid here, whatever, and his mom is passing away. I'm like, what? This is supposed to be a superhero movie. It's supposed to be
Yeah.
things exploding, and obviously they got to that later on, but it was like, what is going on? So
You know what my favorite superhero movie is of all time? Take a guess. You'd probably want to say
I was gonna say Superman because
No. X-Men First Class.
really.
Love that movie.
I'll be honest, I have not seen First Class.
Dude.
I gave up on the X-Men after the what was it, X-Men Last Stand Part 3
Mm-hmm.
came out. It was so bad.
So different though.
Is it really?
You've got to see First Class.
I will check it out because I did love the first two X-Men
Yeah.
so
That movie is seriously, I love it. I love it. I love it. We've got it on our DVR. Sometimes I'll just go back and just watch it over and over. It's one of those movies I can go back and watch it over
I
and over
said that
again.
to Katie about Guardians of the Galaxy. I
Yeah.
was like, if this movie had come out when I was like a child or in my teenage years, whatever, I would have literally watched it every single day because
Yeah.
it is so fantastic. Like I just
When
So
you get a chance, watch.
I will. I'll
First
check it
Class,
out,
and
yeah.
I want to hear your honest opinion, but I love it. It's a
did
great
they
movie.
make a sequel to First Class now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Days of Future
Days
Past,
of Future Past. That's right. Okay.
which is very good. It's not quite as good as First Class, but
Right.
that's gonna be a hard one to top because
Right.
it is very good.
And actually, I should clarify. I didn't give up after Last Stand came out. I gave up after Last Stand and then the original Wolverine movie.
Yeah.
So that was so bad. But I'll definitely watch Future Past.
And I
Or
agree
not
with
Future
you.
Past. First Class.
First
rather.
Class. Yeah. I didn't like the standalone Wolverine movies either.
Yeah, they were so awful.
terrible.
Oh.
And I love the Wolverine character.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And but yeah, it just
And Hugh Jackman, I think he's fantastic.
perfect
He's,
as Wolverine.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just on the standalone movies, it didn't work. They're making a new one called Old Man Logan.
Yes, I did hear about
And
that.
hopefully they kind of learn from their mistakes and
Right.
do it right. Because it's his it's his last time playing Wolverine. And
Oh, is it really?
He's giving up the claws.
Oh wow.
I mean, he's getting a little older for it. I mean, he's far from old.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
But for that character,
for that
yeah.
character, yeah, it's time to kind of move on to someone else.
I did hear, and I think you'll just find this little bit of trivia interesting, is that I was listening to some interview with Hugh Jackman, and he was talking about how he